Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome to the MisFitNation show, Sunday after dinner episode. So we have a good one tonight. It's pretty local to us, actually, only a few hours apart from me and my guest. So it's pretty cool. And we have some things in common that are, it's kind of odd and strange and awesome at the same time. But before we start, we have another name is entered onto the End of Watch Officer Down Memorial page. Corrections Officer Hunter Scott Miller from the Kentucky Department of Corrections. His end of watch was July 25th, 2024. Let's keep Hunter Scott Miller's family in your thoughts and prayers, along with his peers and all those who worked with him and knew him well as they go through this tough time. Tonight, our guest is a ridiculously happy wife after 30 years of marriage. She's a mom of 4, a Kiki to 3. She is passionate about helping women rewind their relationships back to the fun and romance of dating, with or without their husband's efforts. So without further ado, let's welcome Cristie Cerniglia to the MisFitNation. Welcome, Cristie.
Hello, I'm glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you. It's awesome that we have some things in common without even knowing it. The stars aligned. You got us by 13 days in marriage. So it's awesome that we're both 30 years into marriage game. You're May 7th of 94. We're May 20th of 94. So it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us and taking some of your time on a Sunday night to hang out with us and share some of your thoughts on relationships and making them strong throughout their lives. I gave you basically a 2-sentence bio introduction of you. If you don't mind, tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are now.
Sure, Rich. Thank you for having me. Well, what kind of started all of this, I was raised in a happy family with a mom and dad who loved each other and had a really strong marriage until they didn't. And things kind of fell apart and exploded just before my senior year of high school, which was probably the worst time for that to happen. But my dad decided to leave. And my mom and I were just all alone. My older brother was away at college, and it was just a really painful time that led me to a position where I made the declaration, I will never get married, right? What's the point? Because after 20 years and a couple of kids, they're going to leave you for another woman, and it's just not good. So I made the decision at that point that I was going to go to college, I was going to get a degree, I was going to make lots of money, and I was going to depend on no one from that point on, right? But about 2 years later, of course, the Lord brought along my husband, and he swept me off my feet, and I did it. What I said I would never do, I got married.
Were you happy I'm sure you were happy from the moment you met him to the marriage.
Yeah. So now it's been 30 years.
Yeah. And all happy times, or I'm sure
every minute of every day, Rich.
I'm sure you had some ups and downs where you wanted to throw a sandwich at him every once in a while, but things are good though.
That's right. But he never ever got irritated with me, not once.
Wow.
No, we live in Lexington, Kentucky now, and we have 4 kids. We just took number 3 to college this weekend, so only one left at home, which is sad and wonderful all at the same time. But yeah, about 3 years ago, we had some rocky places in our marriage that we just couldn't seem to work out. And we tried marriage counseling. And let me tell you what that was like. How does it sound? You can go into an office for an hour and your wife can complain about you for 30 minutes. And then you can complain about your wife for 30 minutes. And then you both go home ticked off. What a great time, right? And you can pay big money for it. So that's
and lighten the wallet. Yes.
Yeah, it was not productive for us. And I know there are great counselors out there, but one of the things that I love about coaching is that we're not going to spend a lot of time looking backwards at what's happened in the past and what's gotten you to where you are today. We're going to start right off from today and talk about where we want to go moving forward.
Definitely. It's good for everyone to live forward and not dwell on what happened behind us, because there's nothing you can't change it. You can't change what happened
It's
behind
done.
us. You can
Yeah,
just make things better moving forward.
absolutely. Yeah, it's done.
So, I mean, the number one question on your bio is, how does a wife create the playful, passionate marriage of her dreams without her husband's involvement? So, how does that work?
Yeah, yeah, everybody would like to know that. Well, you know what happened with me and what happens with most of the women that I talk to is I really wanted my husband to change. And I could have made him a list of all the things that he needed to do differently in order to make our marriage perfect, right? But he was not on my plan of transformation, right? And I found out that I don't have control over him or really anybody else in this world. And when I try to control somebody else that I don't have control over, it's frustrating and aggravating. And all it does is build up bitterness and resentment in me. And I'm here tonight to tell all of the wives out there that bitterness and resentment are the poison of marriage. They will kill your marriage, and we've got to get rid of them. But when I found the book by Laura Doyle, it's called The Empowered Wife. That's the book that got me started on this path. And I found out that there were things that I could do to make changes in my own life, the life that I do have control over, that would have him respond to me differently. Wow, that's when things really started to change. I started showing up differently. He started reacting and responding to me differently. And I started getting so much of what I had been wanting all along. But it started with me. I was the initiator, I was the influential one. I think we all know, right? The saying, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. That's because women are so influential and we can set the tone in the house.
Right?
So I like
Happy
the women
wife,
don't
happy
like
life.
to hear that women don't like to hear that I want them to do the work, but you've got two choices. You can keep things just the way they are, or you can get in there and initiate change. And I promise you it will work. I've seen it in my own life and so many others.
Definitely. You said that, and it's a happy wife, happy life, we say here. So we go to work, and all the guys are all in our office. We all talk about how hard it is at that home, but we all agree that the happy wife equals happy life. And no matter how mad or frustrated we are with things, we're still going to do what she wants anyway to make her happy. So
Yes,
we all
it is
we all
the most important thing. To most men, it is the most important thing is that their wife is happy. And sometimes, ladies, all they need is a little information on how to do that. And if we know how to give them that information, 9 times out of 10, they're going to jump on it and go for it. And it's a beautiful thing.
that's the other thing we all joke about is the woman book that no one knows how to read it. No man knows how to read this woman's book that's out there. It's a mystery book. I have a daughter too, so she has that same book, and for her
Yeah.
young life, I had to deal with her and my wife. So until she got married, now her husband has to deal with her. So, so I don't have to decode her as much anymore. But I can
I know.
still, I can still need help with like chapter 31 through whatever all the years we have left to understand those parts of the book.
Yes, completely.
A lot of our audience we're male dominant, probably veteran dominant, male dominant, but we do have female veterans that are in the audience as well, female first responders, and then of course our friends and family. But for a lot of military people, relationships are hard, mostly because they're
Mhm.
gone. We were gone so much, especially during the height of the global war on terrorism, and now with a lot of the global responses, a lot of those who are still in service are gone a lot. How do you keep a relationship strong when you have that big, I guess, that algebraic equation in there now that absence is one of the biggest parts?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think a lot of the same principles apply. They just have to be applied over technology, right? Instead of face to face. But one of the first things that my coach worked with me on, and I work with all of my clients on, is just showing up happy because miserable people do not have happy marriages, right? It takes happy people to have happy marriages. And so women, especially, we tend to get caught up in the responsibilities of day-to-day life, right? We've got the house and the work and the laundry and the cooking and all of these things, and we put ourselves on the back burner, and we don't do the things that make us happy and bring us joy. And so then when husband comes home and kids come home, we're grouchy and grumpy. We haven't done anything for ourselves all day. And we're feeling that bitterness and resentment of, I have to do everything. And so one of the first things I do is sit down with a woman and talk to her about what brings you joy. Do you like to walk or exercise? Do you like to take a hot bath? Do you like to go for coffee with a friend? What are the things that you enjoy, and how can we start plugging those things in to your day-to-day life so that you're in a good mood? Let's just start there, right? And you know what? My husband has been so good over the years, and I would say this to the men who are listening, to say to me, he can see, right? You can see when your wife is getting cranky, and he would just say to me, hey, why don't you go up and get in the bathtub? I'll finish dinner. Or, hey, why don't you call your girlfriend and go out and have coffee? Or why don't you go up and get in bed and I'll bring your dinner up there? He knew what my self-care items were, and he would point me to them. Now, part of that was so I would feel better, and part of that was probably so he didn't have to deal with me, but that's okay because we both got what we wanted, right?
Right. 100%. One of my brothers
So
in
a
the chat.
smart husband can see. Yeah, a
Yeah,
smart
definitely.
husband can see when his wife is falling apart.
You have to, that comes with, early on in the marriage, you might not see that, but like for both of us with 30 years and those with decades of marriage, you start to
Yeah.
feel things out after you hit those those lumps in there, and you understand that we are both always not going to have a great day, but you can make it better by doing little things.
It's
So,
right. It's true. Hmm.
so my brother's in the chat. He said, but he does almost that whole list of things you put out there that you do at home. He does almost all that. What else can he do?
Yeah, well, I would encourage him to, talk to his wife about the self-care. Encourage her to make a list. Just start with 5 or 10 things that she enjoys. And then maybe he can encourage her. Why don't you, go do that exercise class? Or why don't you, and maybe he can make those suggestions to get her where she's filling up her own tank. It's like when you're on the airplane, they say, put on your own mask first before you try to help somebody else. We need to gather up our own joy, which energizes us before we come home and try to manage the household. So if I feel myself getting annoyed with everybody just for breathing, that's when I know I need to do some self-care and get myself into a better position.
And now for you, like in your house, you have one more child in the house. Do you starting to feel a lot of emptiness in the house now because of that? And does that cause any problems with relationships when people lose the
Well, it
children?
just happened this.
Yeah, the children equation kind of gets shrunken in a little bit, and now you're down to one in the house, almost an empty nester. So you're almost there. You almost made it to the finish line. But is it starting to feel different for you? And I'm sure your clients talk to you about these things as well.
Yes, yes. And it just happened this weekend, so we'll see. But the issue at our house is that we have 3 daughters, and then our son is the last one. So all my girls are gone now. So I've got to figure out what to do with all these words that I have, right? That my husband can't handle all of them. My son certainly doesn't want them. He's 14. He has about 10 words a day as his max, right? So what am I going to do? And this is why it's so important for wives that we have our girlfriends that we can go and talk to and share with. And especially the girlfriends who are really there to support and uphold our marriage and say nice things about our husband that help us to love him better and better, rather than jumping on our bandwagon when we're upset and saying, get rid of that bum, right? We don't need those friends.
Definitely, yeah. It's also a bandwagon, yeah. Like you said, and women should stick together and not put each other down, like we see too often now. But
Yes.
in that case, you do need that little pump up to maybe keep things going in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long have you been coaching now? Since how long have you been doing relationship coaching?
Yeah, so it was about 3 years ago, like I said, that I really recognized the issues in our own marriage. And after reading lots of books and trying the counselor, and then going to some retreats and events, things like that, I found the book, The Empowered Wife, and I read it, and I said, I could sense this is the answer. These are the things. I have these blind spots. I have these things I'm doing that are actually repelling my husband and causing him to move away from me rather than towards me. And so in turn, now I feel lonely and rejected and things like that. But it was the things I was doing. So I began to implement what I read in the book on my own and just experimenting with these different ways of being. And I really saw a difference in my husband very quickly. However, I didn't know exactly how to get to some of the deeper issues. And so I hired a coach to work with me. And after the very first coaching call, I said to myself, that's what I want to do. Because I am passionate about marriage and family after walking through my own parents' divorce. I don't want that for anyone. And just watching the marriages around me, right? People get divorced and then they go and they find someone else and they just carry their problems into the next marriage because they didn't learn anything, because they blamed the other person for the problems, right? Like we all tend to. We don't want to think that it could be us. So we blame the other person. We take the problem onto the next marriage, and it's just one mess after another. So I really wanted to do everything in my power to save kids from walking through that divorce and save the husband and wife from walking through that. But some people really get confused and they think that I just want people to stay married no matter what. No, I want people to thrive in their marriage. I believe that there is a reason why you chose your wife and why she chose you. And we can get back to that place that started off. There was reasons you were attracted to her, reasons she was attracted to you. And those qualities many times have gotten covered up over the years, right? With the responsibilities of work and home and all of those things, to where it's difficult to see the things that first attracted us to one another. But when I start to show up as a girl of fun and light, I'm full of joy because I've been taking care of myself all day, then I show up joyful. And guess what? My husband starts showing up like that boy who saw me in the tire store and asked me for the phone number on my check, right? And things get fun again. And that's where I want couples to be. I want them to have fun again, laugh, be connected, be attracted to one another, and enjoy each other fully. And that's what our kids want to see, right? We want to show them an example of marriage where they want to get married, not where they're dreading it or saying, like I did, I'm never going to do that, right? I pray that my kids want a marriage just like mine.
Definitely, and setting the example, I think, helps create relationships to let that last. Like my parents, they were married until my mom passed 2019. I think my parents were married 56 to 60 years by that point. And we just watched what they did together and how they acted together. And that's what helped us keep mine and my wife's. My brother's married 26 years now, I think, as well. So he's right there and right behind us. But then there's a lot of guys I served with that didn't make 20 years in the army with one, not just one wife, but they're on second or third by the time they ended, because they were doing the same thing you were just saying, chasing that thing that wasn't really there.
Yeah.
So I mean that made it hard for them, especially. We have a question from Twitter X at Jen SW14. When you do all the things you're speaking of and it still doesn't work, how do you try to make it work?
Wow, that's tough. Well, I find that one of the reasons that women come to me is because they still have a desire to make their marriage work, but they've kind of lost their hope. Like, is this even possible? And that's where I come in and I have the hope for both of us, and you can borrow my hope. And I want to stand with you and support you in your marriage for as long as you want to do that. Each woman has to make the decision that's right for her, right? I want people to stay married and get happy, but some people make different decisions. And I always tell the ladies I work with, you are the expert on your own life. I would recommend that Jen get the book, The Empowered Wife. I would love for her to reach out and connect with me. I'd love to do a consultation and just see if us working together would be helpful. And tonight, so far, we have only talked about one of the 6 intimacy skills. So you just have a tiny little piece of the things that I teach wives to do so far.
Since we only talked about one so far, why don't you give us a couple more while we're here?
Yeah, well, let's talk about one that I had no idea about, and it's called relinquishing control. And if you had asked me if I was a control freak or if I was controlling of my husband, I would have said, no, not at all. But when I saw and when I started to raise my awareness and dig in, I realized that yes, I did. I had opinions about everything, and I felt really, really free to share every single one of them.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're told all along that communication is the key, right? But what I have found in my experience is that there is such a thing as too much communication. And I don't need to say everything that comes to my mind. I don't have to express every opinion. And sometimes I can just sit back and let other people do their thing. And I don't have to be in the middle controlling it. So ladies, if you're telling your husband how to dress, if you're telling him how to drive, if you're showing him where to park and where to turn and all of those things, you may be controlling. It may be time to relinquish control. And so one of the things that I did that was really a blind spot for me was I complained a lot. And I didn't know that I was complaining. One of the things that I complained a lot about is on the weekends, we would use my car for the family outings, right? Going to the soccer games and the baseball and all the places. And by the end of the weekend, I was a crank because my car was a mess. And so I would give this motivational speech, right? About everybody needs to get their trash out of my car, pick up your water bottles, get your wrappers, all that kind of stuff. And guess what? I never motivated anyone. Everybody just scattered. And you know what they said? Mom's in a mood, like run for your life, right? And so I thought, this is not working. I never, ever got what I wanted from that complaining, but I didn't know how to get what I wanted. And so what I learned is how to express my desires in a way that inspires. And it just takes 3 words. I would love. And then you insert the thing that you would like. And so one day we were on our way home from church and I simply said, I would love a clean car. And do you know what my husband did? He said, I'll take it right now. He jumped in the car, dropped us off, jumped in the car, took it to the car wash, had it washed inside and out. And I was flabbergasted. I said, are you kidding? That's all I had to do. But I did not know how to express myself before. Like we were talking about before, he wanted to make me happy. But when I was complaining, he didn't know how, right? But as soon as instead of focusing on what I didn't want, I focused on what I did want, which was a clean car. And he took it and got it cleaned. Now, a controlling wife would try to control how he got it cleaned. Is he going to do it? Are you going to tell him you need to clean my car, or you need to get one of the kids to clean my car? No, I just give the end result. I would love a clean car. If he decides to do it, if he decides to take it to be done, those are his decisions, right? I'm going to stay on my paper and just express what I want, which is a clean car. And he can handle what's on his paper, which is how he gets it done. What do you think about that?
I think that's also that's almost like reverse psychology, really. So it works out well that you were able to communicate what you really wanted without your kids saying "mom's in a mood." That's probably
Yeah.
they'd probably just run out the car when you started your rant about the car and the soccer stuff would get thrown all around. So you have more dirt in the car probably at that point because they're hasty exit. But then when you turned it around on them, you got everyone got what they wanted. Your husband was able to make sure you were happy and you got your clean car back. So.
Yes. And what I've found is that what we focus on increases. So if I focus on what my husband is not doing or the things he's doing that are annoying to me, that's all I think about. And my resentment and my bitterness just grows and expands. But if I focus on what he is doing, then that grows and expands. And I start to see more evidence of what a great guy he is. So, what I found is that I was really missing a lot of the ways that my husband was loving me because I was so busy looking at the things that I felt like he wasn't doing. So, I always encourage the ladies that I work with to start a gratitude list. And sometimes that can be hard when they're in a really painful spot. But I'll encourage them. Does he go to work? Does he mow the lawn? Does he take out the trash? Like, everybody likes to be acknowledged for their contributions. And when we get acknowledged for our contribution, we want to do that thing more and more, right? So I encourage women to find gratitude every single day and then give it to him. Give him that gratitude. Be generous. Throw that stuff around like confetti.
I hope the listeners are listening and grasping what you're saying and understand that what is being put out helped not only has improved your marriage, but also helps you when you're coaching others and makes their marriages or their relationships actually thrive instead of survive.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Cristie, if you could give the audience just 3 tips on how to make their marriage or their relationship better that they can start tomorrow. They can start tomorrow when they wake up and start that new day and start leaning forward. What would those 3 tips be?
I would tell them to start a gratitude list, start thinking about some things that your husband's doing that make your life better and easier, and leave it out somewhere where you can continue to add to it. Because guess what? When you start looking for it, you're going to find that evidence and you're going to feel better right away from starting that list. Okay. Secondly, I would say, do something tomorrow to take care of yourself. Do something just for joy, just for fun. Watch a comedian on YouTube, just something simple. It doesn't have to take an hour and it doesn't have to cost $100. Something that you enjoy. Read a chapter in a mystery novel. I don't know, whatever it is for you. And the third thing is, I would say, start paying attention and see if you're like me and you're complaining and you don't know it. And see if you can shut that down and replace it. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And see if you can use those 3 words. I would love a clean car or a clean kitchen or a new pair of shoes, whatever it is. I would love, and just see what happens. Let's start experimenting with a new dance because the old one is not working anymore, right?
Exactly. Those are 3 great tips that hopefully the audience, I put them in the chat so they didn't have to write it down. They'll see all 3 tips in there in a row and maybe start a better day tomorrow than they had yesterday and keep beat yesterday and keep stacking those victories in your relationships and everything you do in life so that they too can have a thriving life as well, just like you are right now. So, Cristie,
Yes,
you said
and reach
before,
out to me. Reach out for a free consultation. I'd be happy to talk to you. I have the website is relationshipswithamap.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
the website is going across the bottom of the screen. I'm going to throw it in the chat as well here so you guys can click away and get the consultation and just chat with Cristie, either if you want her on your show or you need a little boost in your relationship. This is the place to go.
Yeah.
Cristie, thank you for taking some of your time tonight on a Sunday night to hang out with us. I'll let you get back to your family and hanging out there in Lexington in horse country and for the UK and doing the things you do up there in Lexington. But thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. And this has been great.
Thank you, Rich, and happy anniversary again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.